Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Dan coming to you live from Scotts Valley High School. Man, you know what? Some of my greatest memories, they all come from high school. Some of my greatest ones, man. I had some of the most impactful moments in my life happen during those 4 years. And I gotta say, one of the most impactful moments that I had was when one of my buddies invited me to go to church. And I had no idea what it was all about. But hey, I decided to give it a go. I mean, he called it a party. It was a party, not the kind of party I was thinking of. And so I went with him, and man, there was like a couple hundred kids there, and they were just having a riot, man. They were having such a good time. And it was about Halloween. School had just started, and they had this thing called this scavenger hunt called In Search of the Great Pumpkin. I gotta tell you, I had the biggest headache I've ever had. I just couldn't get into that party like they all got into it. But I gotta tell you, man, I didn't really stick with it, but I got invited to go back. It was like several months to like a year later, and I went back, and you know, it was a little bit different the second time around, man. I guess I just might have been more ready. And so here I am, man. I go back to the church, you know, to the youth group, and it just like, it clicked for some reason. Not completely, but it clicked in the sense that I wanted to check it out a little bit more. And what's crazy is it was literally maybe a year later, because it was Halloween. It was another Halloween party that I went back to the second time. And so here I am, I'm back at the church, and I start going every single week. You know, kind of like what I'm doing right now, man. I mean, I'd go to youth group, and it was dark by that time. I have my Letterman jacket on, I'd have my sunglasses on, man. I wasn't totally participating, but I was listening. You know what I mean? And you don't want everybody to know that, especially when you're like in high school. You're not really wanting everybody to know that you might just be into this. And that was me. I was maybe into this. And so I started going October, November, and then December. And I just remember come like New Year's Eve, another party night, but a different kind of party. But I didn't go to another kind of party, actually. I stayed home. And I remember for like a New Year's resolution, it was, man, I'm gonna give God a try. And that was my junior year in high school. And giving God a try, dude, here I am over 30 years later, still giving God a try, you know what I'm saying? And loving every minute of it. And I can remember finding myself going to a mission trip a couple months later during spring break. And I joined with Azusa Pacific University. And mind you, this is the very first mission trip I've ever been on. I had no idea what I was in for. And I remember after being in church for several months with my sunglasses on and my Letterman jacket on, and I'm going on a mission trip, not knowing how to, you know, what I'm really going to be doing. And if you know me, you know I hate mornings. I don't wake up for those things. You know, I mean, I do eventually, right? But that's just not my thing. But I remember being in Mexico and waking up one morning, and we had morning devotions that I had a different thought going through my head, a different attitude going through my mind. And for the first time, I worshiped. Man, I got on my knees. I closed my eyes, and I just kind of like at that moment surrendered my life, and not really knowing that that's what I was doing. But I surrendered my life at that point. And oh my word, I'll tell you, man, like everything on the inside of me changed. All of a sudden, like where I went from maybe saying, God, I want to give you a try, to believing in God, to falling in love with God, falling in love with Jesus. And I remember my youth pastor back then, we were at a church down there in Mexico, and he goes, Dan, I want you to share. Now, I've only been to church for a couple months. I want you to share at church tonight. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. And so I'm just ripping through the Bible going, what in the world am I gonna teach on? I've never even read this thing. And I turned to Proverbs 11:25. And I just felt like this was the Lord speaking to me this word. He who waters will himself be watered. And what that really speaks of is this attitude and this posture that when you are pouring out your life and you are serving and being a blessing to others, guess what's gonna happen to you? God's gonna bless you. He's gonna bless you like crazy. And that's what I found happened to me when I was on that Mexico trip. I mean, where I was just pouring out my life and serving, and man, I was loving it, man. I was totally loving what I was doing down there. And God was just dumping his love and his grace and his mercy all over me to the point where, man, I fell in love during that trip. And I knew on that trip, that's all I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And that's why I find myself still saying, talking to you guys today, saying, you know what, I'm still giving God a try. I'm giving him a try every single day. And you know what, I'm back in youth ministry right now. And the main reason why is because what God did in my life. What God did in my life 30 years ago when I was in high school, man, I want to see God continue to do in the lives of high school students today. So I just want to challenge you, man, that Proverbs 11:25, he who waters will himself be watered. Man, when you are pouring out your life and when you are giving your life away, you're going to find God just dumping his blessing into your life, his presence into your life. And it's going to be so rewarding. It's going to be so awesome. So just think about that, man, and challenge you, water. Water your friends, water your neighbors, water your family, water whoever you can water. And just see what God does to you. As you bless others, you will be blessed. Have a good day.